Hi, I'm Lauren. Welcome back to my craft room. Today is a brand new Whimsy Stamps release, so of course I'm here to bring you some inspiration using some new goodies like the Haunted Graveyard Border Die, as well as the EEK Word and Shadow die set. So I have cut out my Haunted Graveyard out of some pearled basic cardstock. It's kind of this like pearly sheen black cardstock. And I cut it once very close to the edge of a piece of paper, and then I was like, that's probably not enough. So I cut a second one with a lot more space underneath that die. So it's a border die, which means it doesn't cut all the way through, it just cuts on one side. So you can create a border of the haunted house on any size of cardstock. I have an A2 size of mixed media paper and I am doing some ink blending. I am starting with a purple color, Dusty Concord, and I'm going about halfway down onto my mixed media cardstock. Next, I'm taking Twisted Citron and I am going to cover about half of the leftover space here because a lot of this is going to be covered by my haunted house, so I'm not trying to go all the way to the edge of my paper on this side. So I'm starting away from the purple and going to bring that color up because I don't want to create an instant brown muddy color. This Twisted Citron is a green shade, but there is a lot of yellow. It's very neon, right? So yellow and purple make brown. So I'm trying my best not to create this weird brown line, but still blending those two colors together, and I'm pretty happy with how it looks. Next, I'm taking black soot and I'm just going around the top and sides to kind of create a vignette look, just trying to darken it up to create a nighttime sky. I'm also going to use my Distress sprayer, let it activate that Oxide ink, and then pick it up with a microfiber cloth that I just keep on my desk to create a fun splotchy watercolory background. But of course I want it to be a night sky, so I'm also going to bring in some whipped cream silk and just add in some white splatter that I hope will also look kind of like stars. I'm going to set that aside to dry and add some color to my moon. I'm using mustard seed and I'm just distressing a little bit on, so it's kind of like a glow coming off the moon rather than one whole color. Okay, so let me clean up my workstation, and now that everything's dry, we're going to start building the card. So I fidget around a lot and I cut it out because you didn't need to see 20 minutes of me not knowing what I'm doing. And I decided that I don't need that weird skinny piece that I cut out. I'm just going to use my larger border here. I'm going to actually cut the details in half, which is a nice thing about slimline dies is that they're easily adaptable for smaller cards like my A2 here. So I am trimming my haunted house part to be just slightly smaller than an A2 size. That wasn't on purpose. That was an accident. So I'm going to trim down my background to be the same width as my haunted house paper. So just trimming off a little bit off the left and the right. And then I figure since I trimmed off one side, I got to trim off the other. So I'm trimming off, I think I took off about 1/8 of an inch total from each side. So it's slightly smaller than an A2 card. And there you can see my haunted house looks really great with that purple and pink, but it's a little tall, so I'm just trimming off whatever I'm not going to need. And that way that black piece will be flush with the bottom of my background. And I'm going to repeat this process with the other piece that I trimmed off, but this time I'm going to use a pencil instead of eyeballing because it was too much work. So I am again trimming it to be the width of my card background and my spooky house, which is just slightly smaller than A2, and then trimming off the excess paper. That way I can adhere this to be flush on the bottom of my A2 size. So here they are. Here are all 3 layers, and my moon's going to go to the top left. And I also want to put a sentiment on there, so I'm just playing around and making sure I'm happy with where everything is approximately going to go. And now I'm going to adhere my layers together that I have so far. So I'm going to glue the moon directly down to my card base, and even though part of it will come off the edge, I just went ahead and put glue everywhere. I just will trim it off after. So I'm using my house as a guide of where I want my moon to go. I placed it and pressed it down to make sure it was adhered together. And then I'm just taking some large scissors here to snip off any of the moon that is off the edge of my paper. And once that's done, I'm going to pop up my next two layers just to give a lot of dimension on my card. I'm using some thin foam adhesive strips from scrapbook.com, and I'm just going to cover the complete back side of this piece, peel off all of that release paper, and I'm going to line that up on the bottom of my background and adhere that down. I'm already loving it. I love the colors. I love the spooky house in front of that moon, giant moon, just a little bit. Now for the second layer, I'm going to pop it up again, and then also anywhere where the tree that will be on the right is going to need a double layer where it will touch the distressed background. You can kind of see there, I've got two pieces behind that haunted looking tree to make sure that it was flush, because nothing is touching the spooky house level. It's going directly to my background, and therefore it needs a double stack of foam adhesive. I've die cut the word EEK out of that word and shadow dice set. Again, these two Halloween products are brand new today, released from Whimsy Stamps. You can use my links down below if you want to check out all of the new release. I'm just using my die to kind of eyeball where my letters go so they fit nicely together, and I'm just gluing those directly down to my background and my moon using my wet glue and a jewel picker just to help with that small little piece of my exclamation point. After I'm done with my sentiment, I'm going to repeat the same process with these three little bat die cuts. These are also from the Haunted House set. It's one little die, cuts out these three differently sized bats. So I just glued those around my moon and my EEK, just where I thought they would look cute. And I cut off any excess paper like that tree, and now I'm going to work on embellishing it because I'm silly and didn't think that I should probably put this on a card base first, but that's okay. I was excited to add some glitter. So I'm using my Snowflake Pops of Color. It's a clear glitter embellishment, and I just outlined the right side of each of those letters and added some little spots, little pops of clear glitter color to my background. And now I will get working on my card base. So I did trim that a little bit smaller than A2, so I thought this would be a good opportunity to add some color. I have this kind of limey green cardstock just in my stash, like my scraps piles. So I trimmed that to be A2 and I glued that around. And I thought that was a really nice way to really bring out that Citron, Distress Oxide, and just make the card a little more brighter along the edges. And then I'm going to adhere this directly to a top folding A2 card base out of some super sturdy Neenah cardstock. So once I make sure those are all adhered together without smearing anything, here is a final look at my haunted house card. I hope you enjoyed this process. If you did, I certainly hope you'll click that like button. And if you're new here, I hope I've inspired you to stick around and subscribe. Like I said, you can find everything down below in my description that I used to create this card. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.